Well, good day, everybody. I'm just out here in my garden on this wonderful sunny day. Well, not really, but it is abnormally warm for this time of year and has been pretty much all winter. We had we got down into -7 Fahrenheit, and that was only for a short period of time. And we have had our share of freezing weather and snow, but for the most part, it's been abnormally warm. And I've got a project going on. I am putting in some new raised beds. So I'm going to be increasing the square footage of my garden again this year. Each year I step it up just a little bit and a little bit more. So I'm going to show you how I'm building these raised beds with cinder blocks instead of timber. And I think it's really going to be nice when it's finished. Not only that, is I'm gonna have a lot more growing space. So let's take a look at it. But first, I want to show you just how abnormally warm it's been. Okay, this here is crimson clover that I planted in the fall, and it is not supposed to survive the winters here, from what I hear, from what I read about it. But as you can see, it's everywhere, and that's good because I planted it as a cover crop. I wanted a nitrogen fixing cover crop for this area, because I plan on using this primarily to grow my corn. I don't know if I'm going to put my corn in here this year. We'll have to see how things go, but I have quite a few ideas. I also wanted to show you guys my kale bed here. Now, I had chopped and dropped my kale. As you can see, all these dead stalks here, chopped and dropped my kale to mulch in, and you can see some remnants of it here. It's been composting in all winter. But just to show you how warm it's been, this is kale. This is the red Russian kale, and I don't know if it's going to survive till spring and continue growing, but I've got a couple of them here. And down here, this dinosaur kale, it looks pretty sad. Probably not going to survive, but still green. Can't believe that. But let me just show you. These are some raised beds I started out with, and they've been doing great. But as you can see, I have some gaps in here of where I could be growing more. Okay. Also, these beds really aren't going to hold up forever, and they don't look that great. I basically was just starting out gardening. I wanted to get something together so I could start growing things. And the same story here. I have a big area here where I could be growing things. So the plan is, and of course that bed was not there. I moved it there. It was here in front of the house where I grew a couple of tomato plants in it, but I'm doing some remodeling in the front of the house, so I moved it here. So that is an entire area where I didn't grow anything last year either. And the plan is, let me just back up, to have one continuous raised bed all the way from here all the way down to that fence. So the only gap in here is going to be the walkway with this beautiful arch. Okay, so I'm making it so that I have 4 feet from the inside of this wall to the inside of this wall. It's going to be 4 feet, and it really is pretty simple to do with cinder blocks. The hardest part is leveling the ground, kind of digging it out a little bit, because you want your cinder blocks to set down in the earth a little bit, because the earth moves, especially the earth right on top, especially with the freeze and thaw cycle of the winters and everything else. So granted, I'm not going down past the frost level, but I'm going down far enough to where this bed is going to last a long time. Now, you don't have to use mortar or concrete or anything like this. I got the 8x8x16 blocks, and they're plenty sturdy. You don't have to worry about these falling apart or anything. You just want to make sure that you, when you stack them, you offset them, and that also makes your corners strong, because your corners are gonna overlap, kind of like a log house or Lincoln logs. And this is as high as I'm gonna go with it right there, because I don't want it to come up to the same height of this nice looking wall. Because when I'm standing in my yard or I'm in my home and I'm looking out here, I want to see this nice wall. I don't want to see cinder block. So it's not going to go up any higher than this. With that being said, I am going to put a cap over the top, so it is going to look decently nice. Sort of like this nice wall here has these pavers that somebody glued on the top of it for a cap. I will be doing something similar around the top of this bed. So I'm just getting started with it. Leveling it is a little time consuming but simple. You simply want to make sure you level your block this way and this way. Okay? You want to try to get it as level as you can, so that it, for one, it stacks nice and it goes together well without a bunch of gaps, but then also it's going to look nice and level when it's done. And to keep it straight, especially if you're building a long raised bed, I don't know if you can see, but I've run a string line to keep it straight, and I've measured the distance from this wall to make sure it's the same distance. And so I will next be extending my string line somewhere in about here, and I will probably need to take these beds out. And you might be wondering why I'm doing this project this time of year, and well, that's just frankly because I can. It's not freezing out here or anything, but also I'm going to need to fill these gaps in with soil, and I'm not going to need 2 or 3 feet of compost, so I'm going to use native soil to fill, you know, at least more than half, maybe 2/3 of these beds with native soil, because I only need about a foot of compost, maybe a foot and a half in some areas where I plan on planting some tomato plants. But you might be wondering where I'm going to get the native soil. And so one of the reasons why I'm starting this project is because the project that I have going on in the front of the house, I'm actually digging out for a foundation where I'm going to be building a sunroom here on this porch, and I've got to dig the foundation. I got to dig down 18 inches from grade, because that's what code is around here, because the frost layer. So I've got to dig down all the way out to the end of the house. So yes, I'm going to extend the back side of my house all the way down. And so with all that soil or dirt that I dig out of here, I'm going to have some place now to put it. So essentially what it comes down to, people, is managing your resources and doing things smartly, so I don't end up piling up this dirt somewhere where I don't need it, and I don't end up having to go and buy more dirt from a supplier. I can just use what I have. So I hope you follow along with the journey this season, and I look forward to bringing a lot of videos to you guys. So thanks for your support.